This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Are you insane? This is a sham.
No.
Y'all, just stop.
Finally here. Drum roll. Welcome to DBL. I'm Sam here with Jeff, Al, and Erica. We are looking back at some of the best moments from our show, and today that includes some of the best moments from our very own Erica Cobb.
What?
Mm-hmm. If anyone doesn't know already, Erica's a huge Housewives fan. Let's take a look at her getting Al and Jeff up to speed on the Erica Jane
I know this. I remember this.
Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Take a look.
Let me catch you up. All right, so here's what's going on. So Erica Jane, of course, we've talked about it. Her husband, Tom Girardi, is accused of stealing like $101 million from the trustees of burn victims, orphans, and widows.
Wow.
Right? Now, Erica Jane is now stood accused of spending about $20 to $25 million of that money, which Tom Girardi threw into her EJ Global account, Erica Jane Global, LLC, right? So now she seems to be on the hook as well, although she may have known, may not have known, and that's something we're still trying to figure out because the season is absolutely still playing out. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Kyle Richards throws the grenade and hides her hands. She did it with Lisa Vanderpump because she was the one that spread this rumor and then got Lisa to basically leave the show because Lisa was like, I'm not dealing with you. And to this day, Lisa still doesn't deal with her. But what Lisa did do is reveal reluctantly, okay, that Kyle was the one that at Andy Cohen's baby shower, where all the housewives were there, Kyle was telling everyone that Erica Jane was in financial legal trouble with Tom Girardi. How did Kyle Richards know this? Well, we know that for a fact because Bethany Frankel went on her podcast and told us that she told not only Kyle Richards and also Lisa Rinna. Now, the interesting thing about this is the fact that Lisa Rinna and Kyle are trying to pretend like they're friends with Erica. Now, my theory is it's because this is a big Hollywood scandal, and 20 years from now, everyone's going to remember the players. So now Lisa Rinna and Kyle Richards are going to have their name in this thing without actually being involved in this story. It's actually like PR gold at the root of it. But I'm just saying, Kyle Richards is not innocent. And if she's going to act innocent, her days are going to be numbered because we all see through it. We all see through it.
We all see.
Erica, what are you thinking, girl?
My grandmama said I came out the womb talking, and we all know that's true.
But
Yeah.
it was no filler though. It was every sentence was its own contained fact. It was I feel caught up.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It really
dig it.
is. Next, Erica came after the writer.
Kat, there's more.
Yes. And we are enjoying all of it. Erica came after the writer of Sex and the City after she said the show wasn't feminist. Take a look.
Girl, you already
Erica, you
roped
speak
us
for
in and made your whole
Right.
bag. Don't ruin this for us, okay? Every time we got to talk about feminism.
Seriously.
You know, a lot of us have very different definitions as to what feminism means.
Thank you.
So if feminism means to us, like, I want to get my bag, I want to get my man, I want to get the ring, I want to be living on the Upper East Side, I want to do all the things.
Yes.
Let me have my feminism. Okay?
And
it's all about choice. It's the freedom to do what makes us happy. And if
you.
we're going to watch your show, which you have profited on, don't come back and be like, oh, well, this isn't really the healthiest thing. But why'd you give that to us?
I agree.
We had to interpret that.
agree.
That was art, okay?
I completely agree.
It was art. It was meant to be subjective and interpretive. So now we've interpreted, we used it for our very own narratives, and here we are. I don't want to have a conversation about feminism and Sex and the City. I just want to enjoy it.
That's a good point, Erica.
I think she speaks for a lot of people.
She is me, and I am her, and I'm going to stand beside her.
We got a spin-off.
I know.
Show.
I already said, if Erica, I don't think you're on TikTok. You need to get on TikTok.
Actually, there may be an announcement soon. There's some things are brewing.
Everybody tune into Erica's Instagram where she will have an announcement soon, right? Coming up on DBL, the dynamic brother duo Justin and Christian Long. They tell us all about their new movie Next and Chatting with the Stars. And a lie that led to a man's 27-year prison sentence, how he's turning his life around after being wrongfully convicted of murder.
Closed captioning provided by...
Earlier this month, the Supreme Court issued a decision that changes what you can do when a federal agent violates your constitutional rights. The specific case in question dealt with a Border Patrol agent, leading to viral tweets like this one. Quote, The Supreme Court just ruled that Border Patrol can enter any home without a warrant and assault you within 100 miles of the border. The tweet includes a map showing how most Americans live within that area. So let's verify. Can Border Patrol agents legally search your house without a warrant if you live within 100 miles of the U.S. border? Our sources, the Supreme Court decision, the Immigration and Nationality Act, and Howard Wasserman, a law professor at Florida International University. Under the Fourth Amendment, law enforcement generally cannot stop and search you without probable cause, a search warrant, or your permission. But a law called the Immigration and Nationality Act carved out something of an exception for border security. It says agents can, within 100 miles of any external boundary of the U.S., board and search for aliens on any vessel or vehicle. That means in that zone, agents can pull you over and ask for your identification papers without a warrant or a probable cause. But they can't do more than that, like search your car for contraband. And one section of the law specifically states they cannot access dwellings. So we can verify, no, Border Patrol agents cannot legally search homes without a warrant simply because they're within 100 miles of the border. So how is the new Supreme Court ruling connected here? Well, if a federal agent violates your constitutional rights, for instance, conducts an illegal search, there are a few things you can do in response. One way used to be, in some cases, to sue them individually for damages. But in this decision, the Supreme Court took that option off the table in all but extremely limited cases.
The court did not explicitly say that the Fourth Amendment doesn't apply to Border Patrol officials. It didn't say that they can just go into your house without a warrant. It didn't say that they can use excessive force whenever they want to. What it said was, if that happens, you don't have this one particular remedy when they do that. Now, that's no small thing, because as you said, that particular remedy potentially has a very strong deterrent effect.
With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
Oh, there you are. Before you say anything, hear me out. I need your help, but not because you're a man, okay?
Okay.
Because you're a nerd.
Oh.
Welcome back to DBL. That was a clip from Lady of the Manor, a movie by Justin and Christian Long. We caught up with them earlier to talk all about it, but we just couldn't help ourselves from asking the brothers those hard-hitting personal questions first. Here's a look back at their interview in today's Chatting with the Stars. Today, we are talking with the filmmakers behind the movie Brothers Justin and Christian Long. So for you both, what's one embarrassing childhood story about the other that you can share? Yes.
Oh, easy. I don't think Justin
do it.
pooped his pants when he was in grade school, and then was too afraid to tell the teacher about it, so had to live with it for a couple hours on his clothes. It was a hot. That's the day it happened.
That's the day.
Yeah, it was a hot day in September too, in Connecticut, and the teacher had to. Yeah, it was really traumatic. That's an embarrassing day too. That's your high school graduation. Like, I'm trying to look tough. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's a day that will live in infamy.
Wearing a pail on his head. Yeah, that was embarrassing. Christian once tried to buy a Playboy. Now that we're airing dirty laundry, when he was a child, he had a little pail of like coins that he had saved, and he brought it to the counter. Yeah, coins in a yellow bucket. Because my big brother talked me into it, so. Yeah. Because it would have benefited me, too, to have it in the house. Childhood curiosity. Yes. Now we don't care about those things.
Coins.
And we're not pooping our pants as much.
Thank goodness. You know what? Congratulations on that.
Exactly.
We all evolve, and that's very important that we take the time to appreciate that, you know? Well, I also appreciate sibling groups. Yeah, of course, honey. So I'm one of four, and we always call ourselves like a weird sibling group because the dynamics are just so different. It's like, you know, we love you always, but maybe we don't like you right now.
That's right.
So tell us, did you ever get mistaken for twins growing up? What's that dynamic like for you?
You know, I think we've gotten mistaken more for twins as older people, wouldn't you say? Yeah. As a kid, I had very blonde hair, and Justin had very dark hair like he has now. So I don't think we got mistaken for twins as kids. We're also 3 years apart, so you were
always bigger than me.
Yeah.
But now that we're the same general size, I think.
Yeah, there have been times in our adult lives where people will say, well, no, what do you mean we've met before? They just assume that we've, and they're confusing us. But not often.
Well,
It doesn't happen very often.
We have different dispositions.
You guys have the same haircut, though. Even the wave goes the same way. Like, you guys look a lot alike.
Yes, true. I should differentiate mine.
Stop it. Stop it. You're not
We look
Bieber.
different.
You
So
are
you don't
not
confuse.
Bieber.
You speak about Judy and Melanie, who obviously also co-star in the movie. And from the clips we've seen, it seems like you guys had a good time filming. Is there any one story that 20 years from now will be the story that sticks out from the making of this movie?
Sorry. Lady Watts.
Oh man, so many good ones. The Patrick Duffy story was funny.
Patrick was funny. Yeah. So when I met Patrick Duffy, we had just been dealing with an actor who didn't realize they had to do a Southern accent. The movie takes place in Savannah, and so it's kind of an important aspect of the movie, and we wanted to keep it consistent. And so this one actor was like, what, I have to do a Southern accent? So when Patrick Duffy came, who we were so lucky to have, we couldn't believe he accepted the part. He flew all the way in from Oregon, could not have been nicer, just a gentleman and kind and so game and playful. But I said to him, Christian says I had my director hat on.
Well, you were like trying to be professional, and you were like, "Thank you so much for coming. We're such big fans."
Yeah.
Step by Step was one of my favorite shows. One more thing before I forget: would you be comfortable doing some sort of Southern accent? And there's this long pause, and in the nicest way possible, Patrick Duffy goes, "Yes, I was on a show called Dallas for 13 years."
Dallas.
And Justin was like, "Oh my God, of course, Dallas.
13 years.
Yes.
Yeah, but he said it in the nicest way. He said it without any judgment, or he was very gentle.
I'll never forget that.
To your point, he is one of the nicest. We've had him on the show.
Yeah,
he's one of the
lovely.
nicest, most humble guys ever.
Oh man.
And Justin and Christian,
Yeah,
you guys,
truly.
You guys have us in stitches. Thank you for joining us, for chatting with us. You got to come back here.
Yes.
You guys.
Dude, you guys were awesome.
Thank you guys
Thanks for having us. That was really fun. It was
Bye,
fun.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
We'll be right back.
The Burgundy and Gold are back in the news again, and for all the wrong reasons. And one person getting a lot of negative attention is team owner Dan Snyder. Take this exchange between Representative Rashida Tlaib and Commissioner Roger Goodell.
Remove him. Will you remove him?
I don't have the authority to remove him.
So let's verify. Can Roger Goodell personally make Dan Snyder sell the team? Our sources are the NFL Constitution and bylaws, as well as Jody Balsam, a professor at Brooklyn Law School who previously worked as in-house counsel for the NFL. Let's start with the NFL Constitution.
It's Article 8.13 of the NFL Constitution and bylaws.
That section reads in part, if an owner is, quote, guilty of conduct detrimental to the welfare of the league or professional football, the commissioner can levy a fine or even suspend the person. But Balsam says that the commissioner cannot, on his own, strip an owner of his team. However, if the commissioner determines this punishment is, quote, not adequate or sufficient considering the nature and gravity of the offense, he can refer the matter to the executive committee.
A committee that is made up of one representative from each member club, typically the principal owner. So a 32-member executive committee of the league.
And if 3/4 of this committee agrees to it, they can force the sale, although Balsam says that this has never been done before.
I think it's far more likely that if the league and its members have decided that they've had enough of Dan Snyder, it's far more likely they try to counsel him out the door rather than push him out the door.
So we can verify that no, Roger Goodell cannot remove an owner on his own, but he can recommend it, leaving it to the owners to take this big step. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozloff.
Welcome back to DBL. He went to prison for killing a best friend, but never pulled the trigger. That happened to Earl Trueve, who spoke with him earlier in today's, in today's Freedom Files, wrongfully convicted.
It's Halloween night, 1975. 15-year-old Elliot Porter never makes it home.
He was a close friend of mine, and I know his family.
As police tape off the scene, a crowd gathers. 17-year-old Earl Trouvier notices his friend's lifeless body.
And that moved me to go notify his mom. And when I went and knocked on the door, she came to the door and I told her that was her son that they found under the building.
A couple days later, a neighbor calls police with a very detailed story to tell.
She said me and my co-defendant and the victim passed in front of her window while she was on the third floor smoking a cigarette. Get out of her eyesight, and she heard 2 shots.
Earl is arrested and charged with second-degree murder.
Within the 90 days I'm in jail, I write his mom a letter expressing my condolences, and at the end of the letter, I'm telling her I'm an innocent man.
The DA assures Elliot's mom they have the right man. Their case resting solely on the neighbor's testimony. Not only does the witness say she saw Earl with the victim, but she tells a tale so horrific, Earl's legal team is left speechless.
She said that we broke in her apartment and projected threats for her not to go to the police. And she stated that I had put a pistol to her 18-year-old baby head.
After just 14 minutes of deliberations, Earl is found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. At just 18 years old, Earl enters Louisiana State Penitentiary, also known as Angola.
Kill or get killed. And I had to go there with that demeanor.
The teen embraces the prison culture to survive.
I got caught up in the drug game in prison. I had the deputies bringing me drugs.
There's just one thing that stops him from being fully consumed by the darkness.
That was my fight to prove my innocence, no matter how dark it was. But I had just that much light to believe in.
After 25 years in prison, the Innocence Project gets involved in Earl's case. They find secrets about the state's star witness that were never disclosed at Earl's original trial.
Then she was a drug addict, paranoid schizophrenic. She had a criminal history. She stayed in trouble with the law.
His lawyers also discover that the line of sight the witness said she had is in fact blocked by a balcony. The state grants him a new trial.
I told my attorneys I would die in Angola before I plead guilty to make the government right over me. 30 days later, they dismissed the charge.
After 27 years in prison, Earl is a free man.
Earl, welcome to DBL. Okay, so you've said the one thing that haunts you the most is the why. You want to know why the witness lied, but you actually ran into her after your release. So tell us what happened when you saw her.
I sit right next to her, and I'd say Sheila Robinson. I just called her name out the blue, and she looked at me, and she asked me who I were. I said Earl Trouvier, and she dropped with her mouth open, and she jumped up and went in the car, and I went behind her, and she started crying, and I embraced her, and I told her it's all right. She brought me before the congregation of the church and told the pastor, this guy did 27 years for a testimony that I gave he was wrongfully convicted.
Oh my God.
Wow. Earl, you say that the second lie has hurt you even more since you've become a grandfather. Tell us why that is.
Well, at the time, I have a grandchild that's right at 18 months, and her testimony was so devastating after I really learned the collateral damage of it. And when I see my grandson, he loved me dearly. And even all around the world, when I see babies and kids at that moment, it triggered in my head what really the jury had pounded upon, and it took them only 14 minutes to get a guilty verdict. And that was her last testimony that stuck out in their head. An 18-year-old kid being threatened with an overgrown man as myself then at that time. putting a gun to her baby head, and that was my best friend that got killed. Wow. And so I was charged for killing my best friend.
Oh my God.
Earl, I can't imagine the trauma that you have gone through. What a story. And you also said that you learned quickly it was kill or get killed, right, while in prison. How did you show strength?
Yes.
And how did you survive while in prison?
It's just like when you're in Rome, you live like the Rome. So I knew at my age, I had to defend myself because of the male institution that, you know, I used to hear stories about prison, and now I'm in a situation wrongfully. So I have a double burden I have to protect, as well as being a black man, and the way the prison is designed, that's what it was, only the strong survive. And to test my strength, I had to live just like a gladiator. And I had a couple of altercations. I had to, you know, defend myself and resorted to additional charges. But at that early stage, I was still having a psychological impact upon me. I'm here, and anything that rubbed me wrong, I mean, I had to defend to the best of my ability. I thank God I had my faith in a prayer life and to keep my strength and my sanity, and that basically contained me having a prayer life and trusting God through it all.
All right. Well, Earl, thank you for sharing your story and for the transparency. Wow. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
All over the internet, people are talking about the ramifications of overturning Roe v. Wade. And in vitro fertilization, or IVF, is something even fertility doctors claim hangs in the balance. We spoke with 3 legal experts to find out why and how IVF could be impacted by overturning the decision. About IVF treatment. A person looking to get pregnant is given medication to help stimulate the ovaries to produce several eggs. With the help of an embryologist, these eggs are retrieved from the ovaries and combined with sperm, creating embryos. Typically, one is transferred back to the uterus in hopes that it becomes a pregnancy. As for the other embryos,
they can be frozen, they can be donated, or there's also the choice to destroy them.
if Roe is overturned, states can then enact or enforce laws declaring life begins at fertilization. That would mean embryos are legally considered children. If embryos are defined as children, our experts say that would redefine how the IVF industry works and limit what prospective parents, physicians, and embryologists can do. With frozen embryos,
would that person be required to donate those embryos to somebody else? Would the person be required to use them?
When testing embryos,
some of these would lead to horrific pain and agony for children if they were born, and they're intentionally being selected out right now. But what happens if every embryo is a person? What right does anyone have to decide that some are better than others?
And while taking care of embryos,
there have been a small number of tank failures in this country, and couples have brought wrongful death claims, and the courts have routinely dismissed those cases. But if that changes, then the liability becomes criminal.
Our experts say this risk of liability can have lasting impacts on the IVF process. It's important to note, in the leaked draft, Justice Alito says he's specifically only addressing the right to an abortion. But without Roe, it's possible states adopt their own more restrictive laws.
It's a scary domino effect that could happen.
So we can verify, while overturning Roe v. Wade doesn't directly address IVF, our experts say it's possible that state laws could make the process more difficult. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.
According to AAA, extreme heat essentially makes every part of your car work harder. And one of the biggest problems is your battery. The heat can affect the chemical process inside of the battery, making it harder for it to hold a charge and produce power. And don't forget about your tires. AAA says high temperatures can affect the tire pressure, causing uneven wear and tear on your tires, increasing the likelihood of a blowout. The hot weather can also mean your car will struggle to start. When your engine is too hot, fuel doesn't circulate as well, making it harder to get your car going. So what can you do? If possible, park in the shade and check your car more often. Experts recommend checking your battery at least twice a year and check your tire pressure every month. And that's connecting the dots.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your questions. These questions are about us. Okay, Anna wants to know, Sam and Jeff. What's the easiest meal you make for your kids that they will eat?
That's a good parenting question.
I do you want mine first?
Yes.
Pizza's the easiest, but if I have to get hands-on, they've been crushing grilled cheese lately.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sophie loves a good grilled cheese. For me, it's all about the Annie's or the Amy's. There's two, Annie's and Amy's mac and cheeses by the box.
Sam, you took the words out of my mouth. That Amy's mac and cheese or Annie's mac and cheese.
Both of them.
Yes.
Yeah, they're a lifesaver, let me tell you. Okay, this next question is for you, Al, from Louise. What's the most embarrassing thing that happened to you on TV? I can't wait.
Besides Blind Date, Blind Date's up there, and then like
that was MTV.
That was Blind Date was Spike.
Okay.
Yes, MTV. Yeah, I did something embarrassing on there too. For me, it would probably be I'm wearing a ridiculous sweater in my half-hour special. It's because I didn't realize that shirts moire on camera, like ones with checkers. So like an hour before I was about to shoot my first television stand-up, they were like, "Your shirt doesn't work." So we're in Columbus Circle in New York. We had to go to like the Gap. I get this ridiculous like teacher, substitute teacher, no flavor. So I'm wearing that forever on television.
Is that Comedy Central special?
Yes. Way to tell people where to find it, Erica.
Well, hello. Yes, and also you could check out Monday on iTunes by Al Jackson as well.
Okay, Erica, this one's for you. Dana has a question for Erica. Would you go on Real Housewives of Denver?
These are good questions.
I've been saying this for Erica since I met her.
I really don't think I would be a great housewife.
You're crazy.
I don't
go viral, Eric.
I really don't think that the formula that makes a great housewife is really me. I don't.
It might not be.
The audience disagrees.
Yeah, and Jeff, see, because Erica is who she is, who she presents to be, and you'll be cruising along like, hey, we'll do the show. It'll be fun. We'll get some press, and somebody's gonna come at you sideways.
Yep.
And that's gonna change everything. And then like all the things you've been studying, like a karate master, it's gonna come out.
I don't know about that last metaphor.
She is. She's been studying the show. She knows moves.
Somebody make that happen. I want to see Erica.
Oh my gosh.
One more question for me. Sam, what music are you listening to on your drive home? I'm really into Prayers right now. Prayers is Kat Von D's husband. I sent Erica.
So good.
You sent me that song last night.
So good. He Cholo Goth, and that's really a thing. I'm not saying anything derogatory. That's the culture that he embodies, Cholo Goth. And he's very punk rock, but very progressive in his lyrics. Love him. Prayers. Check out Prayers.
I thought you said cello goth. I'm like,
Cholo.
who's that?
Cholo.
I got it now. I'm like, who are you offending? I got it.
And now we've identified
those aggressive cello players.
Bye, guys.